and welcome to another Underground World News Live. Good evening. Much love. Me get a mic check right at the gate. Sounds good. Quantum says. Thank you, Minx. John Boy. Good to see everybody out there. Thank you, Deanne. Quantum. Noah. Walk with God. Much love. I want to thank Hoodie Ross, Tacos, Tooch, Kev Bar, Daily Survival, Hippie Mike, everybody that shares the stream, gets it out there. Appreciate it to the fullest. Thank you for the feedback. Meat Puppet with us tonight. And here we are live on this March 12th, 2025. And we got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. If you need to get anything to me, it's dabu7@yahoo.com is the email. Also, thank you, S-Bird, Fry Guy, everybody out there listening in. Much love. I hope all is well. I'm going to start off here with a bit of space news. If you guys don't know, we're about to have this lunar eclipse. It's going to take place about this time tomorrow night. As long as you have clear skies, hopefully you guys do. I'm hoping that I will. Of all days throughout the week, it's going to be cloudy. It's going to be tomorrow. So I'm hoping that by evening the sky's clear and I can get a glimpse of it. This is going to be the traditional blood moon eclipse that takes place. This is the one that you're going to see for this year, for 2025. I think there's also one next year around the same time. I've kept track of these events in the past. You may recall through the blood moon tetrads, and we also had a period of get a refresh here on this. We had a period of 7 years where we had an eclipse. And then there was a window of 7 years. And then we had another eclipse and it formed an X over the United States. In the mix of all that, we were put into lockdowns and all this other stuff. So, if you guys catch any good images of this, let me know. Again, at the email address. We do have a geomagnetic storm underway right now. If you guys see any auroras, fireballs, UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, orbs, anything interesting, let me know, dabu7@yahoo.com. I'd love to share it. And please put in the title what it is. That way when I'm looking through everything, I can make sure that I'm seeing it and all that stuff. Sometimes people just send me links. They don't say what it is. I'm not opening them. So please specify what's going on. This is crazy. I have to mention this one. You don't hear about stuff like this every day, so I had to throw this in the lineup. We got a dog shooting a man in bed. His paw got stuck on the trigger. And a man from Memphis, Tennessee, saying that he was asleep beside his female partner when he was shot early Monday morning. So apparently he grazed his left thigh. He was treated in the hospital. But apparently he had a loaded gun in the bed and allowed a dog to get up there, sleep with him, romp around, whatever. But the combination you might want to think about. Something like this could happen. So, man, he's lucky it didn't go down any worse. Much love, E-Feds. Mock and House. Much love, Steve. Yeah, I thought that was crazy. You don't hear about stories like that every day, but could have been worse. And in terms of the homicide rankings across the country, we're looking at the latest numbers to round out 2024 for the past year. And Chicago was the nation's homicide capital, had 573 murders for 2024. That's the 13th year in a row that they've gone through high numbers like that. But you've got New York, Houston, Philadelphia, Los Angeles rounding out the top 5 with the most murders. St. Louis was the nation's other murder capital when based on homicides per capita. Some of these cities, some of these places, man, seen an increase in violence and hostilities and craziness. I've been to, I think every city I just mentioned except for Los Angeles. And I know that the inner workings of New York, so to speak, they can get pretty crazy. Subway systems, upper, lower, all the different areas. New York City's a big city, one of the biggest on the planet. And it's got a lot going on there. I've seen that firsthand, but I haven't seen LA's. Maybe one day. But yeah, all these cities got one thing in common. There's always projects, hoods, ghettos, and then your one little rich area, and you've got your homeless areas. And some are worse than others. And in those areas these days, man, they're pretty crazy. Pretty crazy scenes. I seen one the other day of a lady. She looked like she was chained to a fence, but she wasn't. She was holding on to it with her own hands, and she was flip-flopping around like a fish all over the place. And people were like, "Look, do you need to go to the hospital? Do you need to call an ambulance? And, can we do anything to help?" And she's kind of responding, but like spewing these words and all this stuff, and like this contorting her body, all this crazy stuff. And she was on drugs. Just she chooses to be that way. Of course, a lot of these people need help, but a lot of these murders and homicides happen in these regions, and oftentimes we hear of bodies being just dumped in these areas too. Somebody can knock somebody off and take them and drop them off somewhere in one of these alleys, and the city come along, just write it off as just another overdose. Yeah. It's bad these days. All right, here's a heads up. We get a lawsuit alleging that the Girl Scouts have been selling cookies containing heavy metals and pesticides. This violates laws, obviously, when you're selling cookies that contain heavy metals and pesticides. According to the lawsuit, the cookies are contaminated with dangerous heavy metals, including aluminum, arsenic, cadmium, lead, mercury, pesticides, including glyphosate. This was filed on March 10th in federal court in New York City. How can this be? So, we've come across stuff like this before. I've talked about recalls, about how there's wood chips and metal and glass and all this stuff, and like all types of different products. So how does it happen? How does it happen at this level? It's like, it's one thing to have one thing happen, or accidentally, somehow, some way, arsenic got into the supply, and you deal with the issue. Not everything in the kitchen sink thrown in here. It's like somebody did this on purpose. When I see this at this level, so this is poisoned a lot of people and they don't know it. All these Girl Scout cookies that you love to get your hands on and eat, this isn't good. So we'll see what comes of this, because a lot more tests are going to come out in court as we get more information on this stuff. I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, I want to think twice about them Girl Scout cookies right now. Here's a plus. Egg prices plummeting because Trump unveils this plan to reverse Biden's bird flu mess here, so to speak. As I said last time, he killed 150 million chickens, and I don't think people realize how much damage he did. Not until here recently, with prices through the roof, and Trump's like, it's not my fault. I didn't do this. So now the prices are peeling back. They're talking like around $2 on the dozen. I don't know what you guys are seeing in your neck of the woods. Let me know. Ray next. Thank you for the coffee. Much love. Much appreciated to the fullest. I know last time we were out, it was high. Abnormally high. Getting some chickens, as I always say, would mitigate the damage here. So if you're somewhere and you use a lot of eggs, go through them a lot, look into getting some chickens. It's a couple. It's not going to hurt. It's going to pay off in the end. They may be peeling back now, but overall, I see it kind of rebounding. All these prices are set to go through the roof. If you're paying attention to what's going on with all these tariffs and all the stuff that's going on, yeah, Trump just pushed some stuff back like a month because the crowd's still not getting it. They're not seeing what's really happening here. You've got all these things going through the roof, and it's us that's paying for it. These tariffs they're an attack on the people, and the people still don't get it seems. Some do, some are waking up to it. But the more people buy things and want to get certain products, and it's coming from Canada, Mexico, or anywhere else, they're going to see that there's this surplus on it for any and every item. What this all goes back to here is Trump's trying to tell anyone and everyone out there that if you want to do business with America, you're better off coming to America, opening up shop, doing business here, and then we'll cut all those tariffs off. So that's not going to work with everyone all the time. And with Canada and all them, again, they pushed that back a month. In the meantime, our trade deficit, or let's say our total deficit here, hits a record $1.1 trillion in the first 5 months on paper of 2025. I guess because they start the year in October or something like that. So the deficit going through the roof. I'll be interested to see a total number of what this Doge has saved. And they were just ordered to have to do that. They're going to have to tally up all this stuff. They're saying they're putting documents up on their site, but they need a full running tally of what they've cut, what they've saved, and all this other stuff. To get a beat on all this. I keep saying, who's going to jail for all this stuff? Got a feeling they're going to throw everybody a bone. So JP Morgan sounding the alarm that a recession is coming. We've been talking about this. Trump was asked about this and he beat around the bush, which is not a good sign. Anytime he dodges the question, like openly, you could see it. He didn't want to answer it. He tried to say that there's these little periods of, and he still wouldn't say it. He's like, of transition is what he was calling it. And he changes the complete subject. He turns around and says, I'm bringing wealth back to America. And they're like, hold on. We were just asking you if we're slipping into a recession. And he just changes the whole thing up to he's bringing wealth back to America. So, again, we're going into a recession. We've been beat down by inflation by design. It's not going to get any better with these tariffs. And I don't foresee anything getting any better. The stock market's been dumping. It's been getting hit every day. The other day it was like 1,000 points it lost. Then we started off the next day like minus 400, minus 500. It's getting hit. We see the big dogs sitting on the sidelines. Warren Buffett sitting at a record amount of cash. One of the world's richest men. He's sitting on the sidelines waiting for an event. It's the reset. It's about to happen. We may be in the beginning stages of it. A series of news events could change some things here. So Jamie Dimon came out the other day, and he said that he sold a record number of his stocks that he held for JP Morgan. You got to watch when they do this. 33 million or whatever that he sold of it. So that was a sign. That was a sign with their 33 ticker tape to it that something's about to happen with the economy. So now, up front to the crowd, they're saying that a recession's coming. So they're officially doing it. JP Morgan officially coming out and saying recession is incoming. When Trump is asked about it again, he beats around the bush. He's not clear about it. It's not a good thing. There's about to be some bumpiness ahead in terms of the economic stuff. I think it's already begun. People just got a lot of their 401ks hit the other day with these downturns. And what you're going to see is a series of them, if you ask me, and they're going to cascade. And it's going to be like a domino effect, and then it's going to be too late. People are not going to be able to get their money out of the 401ks and all that stuff in time. It's just not going to happen. And if you've got like a money manager, say a money manager's out there and he's managing a couple dozen people, when it hits the fan, like a lot of them people are going to get done in bad because he can only handle making moves to go in and sell and execute when everything's dumping so much for so many people. And like a lot of people are just, by the time he gets to them to sell and execute their moves, it's already going to have been dumped out. And I'm telling you, man, there's so many things that are going to come with this. The biggest thing was to be out of the market when this thing comes down. Again, the rich guys are cashed out, sitting in the sidelines, in cash, literally, waiting to make moves. So, let's look at all the money in America. If you were to take the whole entire M2 money supply of money, what does it break down to? It breaks down to about $63,000 per person when you divide it all up. When we got Peter Schiff here calling for an economic reckoning, he's saying that, he's been around watching the markets for a long time, and he has. He's what they call a gold bug. He's heavily tied into gold and silver and all that, and I followed him for years. Agree with him on some things, disagree with him on some things, but his overall assessment here is that Great Depression, another Great Depression, this is what I've warned you about. When they come out officially, these are my words, my warning was, when they come out officially stating that it's a recession, you're slipping into a depression. The beginning stages. Right on cue, that is what is unfolding right before our eyes. They come out today, JP Morgan officially, for the record books, warns of recession. Again, Trump asked about it, he ignored it, beat around the bush, did his black magic. But Peter Schiff, he gets straight into it. I'm not going to play the video, but he warns that all the signs are there, all the numbers are there, all the graphs are there, all the indicators that you ever have seen for when something pops and breaks and pulls back, like it's all there, like all the signs. And he knows a lot of people and's got connections inside the market now. And what he's witnessing, like I told you, all the big dogs getting into cash, or they're pivoting over into things like gold, silver, other things, away from out of the market, like the stock market itself. Now, in the depression, I don't know what they're going to try to pull. In crazy times, they can try some crazy things. They still have not come out and stated what's up with the gold at Fort Knox. And let me tell you, if they were to say it was missing, it would set the stage and give the excuse for Trump to tell everybody that look, we're going to have to repatriate gold. We need the people to step up. That's how they're going to play it. That's how they would play it. That he's depending on all the people that voted for him to step up and help, and they're not going to, again, take your wedding rings and things that are sentimental, but anything extra, the fine china, all this other stuff, all the pure silver, all that stuff is going to have to get turned in. And it's basically going to be our reserve, since, you know, what's ridiculous is, why should we trust that? We couldn't trust you with the last reserve. So always remember that. They come trying to say everyone needs to cough up some of their gold and silver, and it's their patriotic duty, or this and that, blah, blah, blah. We went through this once before. We trusted you with all of our gold, and it's gone. You know, that would be the case. That would be the only excuse I see for them to be able to try to do something like that, to come and repatriate gold. Is something that massive. You know, an economic shock, which is about to happen. I've warned about this several times. Peter Schiff hints at it. He says some kind of reset has to happen. You think you bird's eye for the coffees, the support, appreciate it more than you know. Peter Schiff lays it all out there. I recommend following him if you're into any of the economic stuff, and the gold and the silver especially. He's another one that's been talking gold and silver for years, just like I have. He has way longer than I have. And, man, gold has more than tripled since I was talking about it back in 2016, 2017. The investments in silver, we'll get to that here in a second. It's about to go down. All right, let me put some focus on this event, okay? What's about to happen. There's about to be an economic reset, okay? I've spoke about it. I still don't know if people are understanding it. They're hearing me say it. You're seeing other people talk about it. All the warning signs are there. But there's about to be a series of events globally. Could be already, I'm going to say already in motion. There's going to be a couple big events. And one of them tied to the United States and our economy full blown. It's going to affect everything. Okay? Okay, it has to be an emergency. Okay? Listen to me clearly, man. I never come out and say, this, blah, blah, blah. But this is one of those things that, like, I'm going to say, like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Get ready for it. You can't say that you weren't warned. It's about to happen. And as I said last stream, it could be a smooth transition that would actually benefit them. But here's the bigger picture. This isn't just for the United States. The whole world is preparing for this event. And I'm going to show you. Okay? What does this say? This says, and this is like the linchpin to the grenade right here. Okay? If Europe seizes Russian FX reserves, like the West done stole all their money, seized it out of their accounts already. That's what got us kind of into this big conundrum with Russia to begin with. And at some point, that's going to have to be talked about between Russia and Trump and all them at the table. It's going to have to be. Because they seized massive amounts of money out of the banks. They stole it from them. And it's known. It's openly known. Okay? But now, Europe is talking about seizing the FX reserves. Okay? And what this would do, what do the following words say here? It would immediately reset the global financial system. Do you see what's about to happen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's about to happen. Okay? Now, Trump could very well be setting the stage here to like leave Europe or NATO or like on their own to deal with this whole thing with Russia. And it looks like that's the case. Right next, man. Thank you for the coffee. Again, much love. Thank you for the support. So, let me break this down a little bit better here. I think this is important that people understand this, where this is going. Oftentimes, we don't pay attention when it happens with China, Asia, Europe, and the markets. But when it affects everything globally, and there's a move being made, a power move globally, we should pay attention. So, what does this say? China is struggling with deflation due to mercantilism, an economy that must grow at 5%. The demand. Many Western economies could do that right now, as Trump implied. Trump goes on to say, okay, and this is where you need to get this. He has made clear he wants to reset the U.S. Does everybody understand this out here? The Gentile Messiah has openly stated, it's on record, and it says it in black letters, bold, right here on the screen in front of you, that he wants to reset the United States. I hope people are paying attention, because it's about to happen. An event is about to happen to make this go into effect, okay? It's going to change the way our lives flow forever. Forever. And how I see this right now, the approach that they're taking is, while people aren't paying attention to certain things, he's making moves like he completely stopped the minting of pennies. And then it's going to be nickels next. And all this stuff. And it's all going to be gone forever. It will never be printed again. It'll never be made again. Ever, ever, ever again. Never, ever, ever again. Because they're going to switch it over to digital. Full blown. Now, Trump signed a series of executive orders. If anyone has a brain and sits down and looks at them, you could see what he's done. He signed one that says no to a CBDC. Just simply by the name, it's very vague. Just by calling it a CBDC, basically, is what it said. And he threw it to the ground, like throwing a bone to a dog, and said, chew on that, and turn around with the other hand and thank you, medic, for the coffees. He turned around with the other hand and he introduced blockchain. He signed a slew of executive orders pushing AI and blockchain to the forefront. And he let it be known. He let it be known boldly, openly. So it's a complete contradiction. The executive orders are on record already. But the one was just to buffalo his base, because that was one of the big things they were barking about. They apparently didn't do their homework and even realize why a blockchain or a CBDC was so bad. It's because it's connected to a blockchain or a ledger that they can track. And it's exactly what he gave you with the other hand, with the other executive orders. He sure did. Those are facts, Jack. It's black magic again, at its finest, right in front of your face. There's nothing else that you can call it. He roosted you. He roosted the whole freaking crowd with it. There's no other way to explain it. It's what he did. He's caught red-handed, right in the open, doing it. And like no Trumper will come to the forefront and even talk about these things. Most that I can even get into a conversation with, they're just not like they're like awakening to this. Like, well, I don't even know what blockchain is, and I get that all the time. Well, what was so bad about the CBDC? Well, I don't even know what it is. Well, like, people, you need to start doing your research. Like, I've, on this show alone, tried to educate on what blockchain and ledger is. And it's a technology that can be good. It can do good. But you have to have good people running it and using it, just like any other new technology. When you've got bad people at the helm, bad things can happen. And that's what happens with blockchain. They'll track and trace your every move, and your freedom goes out the window. That's been the problem with this the whole time. On the other side of it, there are a lot of pluses on being able to store information for all types of different businesses in different ways. But he introduced blockchain. And that's all that they wanted to do. You wonder why he just introduced this Bitcoin reserve and all this, whether good or for bad? Because they got to push this full scale. They want everybody on the digital version of money. And I'm not talking for old schoolers out there. I'm not talking the digital that you're used to. This is a different digital. It's digital blockchain, and that's the difference. The old digital never had blockchain attached to it. Okay? This does. And that's all the difference. And you need to understand it. You need to educate yourself on what's happening here. You need to know, or you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left in the dark. You're not going to understand conversations from here on out. You need to see where this is going. So, as I've said before, it's pretty simple. All they got to do is hold our money hostage here in the United States one day. You wake up, people can't get their money out. There's already a wallet sitting there waiting to be utilized. It's literally waiting for you. And when all they got to do is say, hey, just get this card, download this app, and then you can go spend your money at the store. Problem solved. That quick, that easy. Everyone's going to do it. It's going to almost seem like it wasn't even an issue. I'm telling you, black magic at its finest. And the whole freaking crowd is going to do it in a day. And switch over. Oh, just that easy. It's all it's going to take. It's all it's going to take. You don't even have to blame it on China, a huge cyber attack. You don't have to get that dramatic with it. You can actually make it a pretty smooth thing. Everyone wakes up, hold everybody's money hostage everywhere. Everyone's going to freak out at first, but then supply the answer. It's what they're masters at doing. Problem, reaction, solution. This is the reset, okay? Do you understand? This is what's going to happen. Some form or fashion, this is what's about to happen. Just understand that, okay? It's going to be life-changing, but to most people, they're not going to realize what they're doing. To the masses of young people and everyday people out there that just don't stop and take the time to listen to none of this, to understand it, they're going to get hit with, they can't spend any money, and then the next thing you know, they're going to be told, download this and you can. They're going to be like, okay, we did. They're going to go in, and they're going to be able to pay for gas and everything else, and food and product. They're going to be able to push on life as normal just like that. It doesn't matter if we're out here using silver or gold. Thank you, Quantum. He says silver for the win. You got that right, and I'm going to get into silver here in a second. But it doesn't matter what we're doing. When a majority of the crowd accepts the beast system, we're done. Do you understand? That's why I've sat here and fought this fight for so many years. Much love, Lowrider. Is to try to wake the crowd up, because when the majority of the crowd goes onto the beast system, it's over. Do you understand? It's in place. It's in motion. I just explained to you how easy they could pull this off. This is the easy way. With the least amount of panic, you could do it almost in a freaking day or two. Definitely within the week. And once everyone does this, you don't even have to attack fiat. You just keep on trucking, and in due time, they're just going to quit printing. They're going to say it's a waste of money now that everybody's using digital, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be an option out there until 10 years, not even that. By 2030, it'll be phased out because simply no one's using it, they'll say. And with Doge and all these, we got to save money. Well, they're going to save money by not printing money no more. Save money by not printing money no more. It's what it's going to be. You see? And it's all going to be digital. So, I hope you understand this. Okay? I don't care if it's boring or not. It's going to get some people killed and caught up because they don't want to pay attention to the details of the stuff that counts. What's about to rock our world. Everyone that you know, every business, everything, every family member, everyone is going to be affected by this. Okay? He made clear he wants to reset the United States and, by extension, the global economy. This affects everyone, okay? Now, if you scroll down, what do they say here about Europe? What's this whole thing about Europe? What's Europe saying? It's vital that they implement right now, of all times, a CBDC. And guess what they're saying the threat is? Because Trump is pushing crypto, it's hurting Europe's financial stability. So they're using this as an excuse to do what? To emergency roll out a CBDC. So the answer to Trump, over here pushing any kind of crypto is they've emergency got to roll out a CBDC. You see how that works now? So now it's being force-fed a digital euro onto the people. Just that easy, just that simple. They're saying it's a security threat, blah, blah, blah. They've got to make the move. The whole globe is about to do it. Do you see? They can act like they're fighting, they're bickering. All that is a show, man. When you get to this level of understanding and awakening, you understand and see this is a left-right paradigm. The whole world's a stage. It's one huge club that they're all in on. All the world leaders, all that. Okay? And it's all about controlling the people. And there's massive agendas that they want to roll out. You know, like locking the whole world down, mass inoculating them. They all participated in that. If you were paying attention, Russia, China, all of them. It was a curtain drop moment. You see, and the rest are theaters of war because that's all they are. They don't need to happen. It seems they're trying to push this in a direction where their Prince of Peace, their Gentile Messiah, is going to go around the globe making peace. And the last stage of war is going to be space. And this incoming threat. We're going to get to that here in a second as well. So, I want to make it clear, they've set the stage here to push a CBDC and to push a digital, I don't know what they're going to call it the Trump dollar. This is called the dollar. They don't have to do much. As long as they're not calling it the CBDC, that's all. They don't have to do here in America. They can call it anything else they want. And his base will accept it for the most part. Anyone that's still asleep, it's time people wake up because they're getting led into a trap. And we've warned about this forever. Like, you should be honest about everything. Open and truthful about all these things. Not trying to lead people into a trap, which clearly we can see is what's happening here. That's scary. Now look, blockchain, crypto, all this other stuff, it could be good. Certain projects can be good. They can be. But again, it comes down to the people running all the stuff. Okay? The way that they handled the Trump coin when they dropped it was just insane, crazy. Because it had like huge amount of billions of dollars of market cap. At like $88 a coin. And they've let it dwindle down to nothing. With like, and that's what someone would call a pump and dump. When it like dwindles away and like they have no other want for it. He sold it basically to the crowd, the other part of the crowd that would buy into crypto. They bought this Trump coin believing in it, and it's done nothing but tank. Most of them are holding an empty bag or a bag that's completely in the red. And that's why some people are like, man, this whole thing with him and the crypto thing could be a scam. Well, again, this all goes back to righteous people. Like, you need something righteous out here to get behind in the crypto space, first and foremost. It's not going to be Bitcoin, that's for sure, because they made it. Satoshi is the NSA. Why do you think they're promoting it and pushing it and allow you to invest in it and have little shows on it here in America? Come on. It's their baby. Why do you think you can't do anything with it in China? Okay? It's their baby. And it was meant for this moment. It was meant for this moment. There's a ton of other projects that can rise and be righteous. Matter of fact, we should probably make one. We need to represent us. Before somebody else just comes along and does it. Because, again, if you don't get hip to it here, you're going to get left behind in this, so to speak. in terms of the technology. The beast system, obviously, we're not going on to. I'm not. Y'all can feel free to. But there's a big difference between the global a beast system taking this mark and everything else, and everything that's going on out here currently. Like, we're obviously not there yet. I told you where I think that's going to be. When they announce bird flu and they lock this place down, and you're going to have to get inoculated. You're going to have to show proof. Hand, forehead. It's going to be a deadly one. It's the biggest thing that I fear. That's that event. That will be the event to force everyone into a B system with a mark. It's the one thing designed to do it. They can't force you to go out and get this mark to access your banking money. And it's just not going to work as well. When you got a climate when bodies are dropping and they got dudes running around with guns saying, like, you got the mark or not? Like you can kill people. Like, we got a right to shoot you if you don't get inoculated. Like, that's what it's going to be. That's how it could be forced large scale across the country by Tom Homan and his teams that you think are heroes right now, which is ironic. Because his Jade helmet's been set up right in front of you, and it's all in full swing, and all it's going to take is one event, and it's all going to change in the blink of an eye. It would rock the economy, it would rock your world, it would rock your life, it would, everything. I don't want to live through it. It's the biggest thing that I fear, is them doing that. And I fear it's coming before 2030. I mean, Bill Gates came and gave an updated timeline and basically said you've pushed it back. It's not going to happen in 2025, so to speak, but within the next 4 years it's happening. That's how I took it. That's where I sit with it. We might have bought ourselves a little bit of time. That is the event you do not want to hear or see happen. I'm warning you now. Because after that, you'll probably never see of me or hear of me ever again. In a lot of real pure bloods that go underground. You know, when you're forced to go into the beast system or go underground or go off, that's the moment. And there's only one thing that can really force that hand. I just explained it to you. So, keeping with this crypto stuff, Russia arrested a man that was funding terrorism with crypto. How? Because they can track it. People that think that Monero and these others out here cannot be tracked. Anything digital can be tracked and traced, I'm warning you. Anything that they make, before they even release it, they got a backdoor and a way to observe it and watch it. Come on, man. But you don't have to worry about that when you hold silver and gold. And this is my go-to. This is my number one. It always has been, always will be. Silver and gold. That's what it's about. And it's always been the king, real money. Always will be again. And I feel at some point here we're about to see a big shift. If the markets were real and things like that, you would have already seen a breakout in silver and gold. But they're rigged. And we know they're rigged. Because JP Morgan Chase itself has been busted multiple times over the years, rigging the precious metals markets. Time and time again, actually, we've reported on it. It's sick. As soon as this whole thing gets set right, which could be under this administration, which could be any time, like the banks are about to get rocked. Do you understand? I've already told you the Bank of America is caught up in all these lawsuits and the feds and all these investigations tied into fentanyl and money laundering with China and all this other stuff. When all this comes out, it's going to be the linchpin that was designed to bring it all down. And you can do away with the traditional bank at that point. Banks will freeze on that news. And it could be the event that does exactly what I told you earlier. Seizes the money in the banks. Freezes it. That's all we're looking for, is something to do that. Whether it's a glitch, cyber attack, you can blame on whoever, whatever. You just need that to get the result. You need to freeze the money in the banks. So, look. When they reevaluate gold and silver, which they're hinting at doing here, it's going to explode this through the roof like you've never seen. This is going to be like, I feel like there's a couple of opportunities on the table for people to see big wealth here. if you play your cards right. There's already been one. I've been telling you since 2017, again, gold and silver. If you're in a state like mine, and my tax lady didn't even know this, I had to bring it to her attention. I'm like, yeah, we're now in a state that when you buy gold and silver, you don't have to pay taxes on it. She's going to have to look in it, looked into it, and like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, well, it says it just went into effect at the end of this last year, but now officially, a lot of states are doing this. They're seeing it as what it is, sound money, and they kind of see the writing on the wall that something economically is going to happen. If the dollar goes down, you've got to have a system to pay for goods. And my state says, okay, we're going to revert back to the days of old, the way you do it, gold and silver. I'm telling you now, they're already prepared for it. These other places are prepared. You need to be prepared for it, not get left in the dark when this whole thing goes down. I've been saying it forever. I mean, we've gone to the lengths of buying the silver, melting it down. I've got a smelter, pouring out coins, stamping them out, and getting them to our people. That's what I've done. Basically took an order from everybody around me, friends and family. Anybody needs silver rounds for trade, like, let me know. And got it to them, all of them. Any one of them that said they needed it. You know? That's what's needed in all communities when this hits the fan, so to speak. But again, this could be a smooth transition where all you got to, it's a carrot on a stick. Go download this app. It's that simple, and you can spend your money. People may get educated in that day on why this app is working, or maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, why would they even take the time to even say anything? It's because they download this app and everything will be good. It's going to be a new system. It's going to be jumping over to a new system. It's crazy, man. But I could see places around here accepting, a few pieces of silver for gas and all this stuff. Minks, thank you for the coffee and much love. Right back at you. Turn it down some. I could see a lot of people just easily going onto the system. I made sure to make my rounds. I was making them around 5 grams. You can do them different sizes. I mean, this is why we made change out of silver and all the way down to pennies out of copper. I haven't got small denominations like that, but I figured, look, having something's better than nothing, and being able to melt it down is key too. Pick up a smelter. You can always hook it up to some kind of generator, get it going, and melt down your stuff. All right, let me talk about this real quick. Tokenization, before we get out of economics, start diving into a bunch of the harder stuff here. What's tokenization? It sounds kind of boring, right? Well, you better get to know this. I just explained to you one great transfer of wealth. If you get into gold or silver right now, and you just get in it, and hold it, and hoard it, and sit on it, and hide it, and everything else, it's going to keep going up. It does every day. You're going to have to pay no taxes on it, which is huge. And there's not much of anything else out there that you can say that about, that you can sit there and sell, and your government turn the other way and say they don't want no taxes on. That right there is absolutely huge, gold and silver. Another here is going to be this whole thing with crypto. There's no other way around it. It could potentially be here. It could potentially be the biggest transfer of wealth in our lifetime. Okay? And the reason I say this is because what's about to happen is, again, not only is there going to be a reset economically, where the money's going to be switched over to this, basically this digital money on blockchain, but they're going to tokenize everything, okay? And it's already beginning, okay? Now, you need to get educated on this. I'm trying my best. Look, the first thing I knew to do when I came across all this in 2016, 2017, blockchain and everything else, I saw the evils of it, and I had to warn you about the evils. That's all I did. Put the videos out called the Beast Blockchain, where they were taking this warning. I mean, I've learned so much about all of it since then. And again, like I said earlier, it's a technology that can be used for good or bad things. It depends on who's using it and for what. But when you get to this point of tokenization, this is where it can be used for everything, okay? For everyday life in all kinds of different ways. If somebody wants to buy something online and pay for it, they can send a token to show basically confirm purchase of it. And these tokens will be sent in real time, and they settle in real time, meaning that it doesn't take days, hours, all this other stuff for stuff to clear. You want to send somebody, oh, we got to wait for it to clear at the bank. It takes 2 or 3 days. And currently, that's how the system is set up. You all should know this. But when you get into this crypto realm, like say on the XRP ledger, where things are lightning fast, with like virtual, like zero fees, like super low fees, you could send money to somebody like in an instant, like right now. And like, they're going to get a majority of all the money. That's key. That in itself is huge. It's key. Because normally if you try to send money through anything, like I tell you all the time, somebody donates to me and say a super chat there over on YouTube. Like Google's taking half of that. John Boy, thank you for that. If somebody was to send me, a coffee, which is often the best way to support the channel, there's way less taken out of the small fraction. But like if somebody was to send me money straight up with the crypto, a stable coin, say XRP, with virtually almost no fee, almost every bit that you send me, I would get. So like no middleman, no one else is like getting a piece of the pie. You see? So with tokenization, what this means is that they can cover everything. Okay? Say you got copyright rights, right? Every single day. Understand this. Every single day. Like I'm dropping this video tonight, right now. And it should be protected. Well, guess what? Like today, whether I like it or not, this information is getting captured and it's getting put on a blockchain and it's getting stored and secured and it's there. And it shows that, no, he made that. Like he made this live stream. It's his production. Like it's his. It proves it. And it timestamps it and it locks it. You can always go back 100 years from now on the block, 100 years from now. There doesn't have to be no speculation or anyone 100 years from now wondering about anything. They can go right back to the block. They can open it up and they can back, oh no, Dabu said that. He did it right there. That was him. It's all there. It can't be lied about, changed, anything. It's there forever. That's the thing about it. Art could be done the same way. You have an art piece. You could sell that online and a token will represent your artwork. You see? And the transfer of funds. All of it. All of it done in this tokenized world. Earnings. And this is a crazy one. I didn't even like the sounds of this one. This is just nuts though. It says that a 16-year-old high school athlete with exceptional baseball skills, but with little money, could tokenize his future baseball income. The token holders who can scout athletes at a young age can provide some income for the kid today. Okay, so basically giving him upfront money and share in his revenue if he makes it to the big leagues later and get a piece of the pie. Hotel rooms, basically, they say. Here's a lot more ideas of how tokenization can work in capital. If a shipwreck treasure is found, they can tokenize every single piece that is found. Okay, you tokenize it and put it on the ledger. Podcast rights, like I was just displaying to you. Carbon offset values, which is a bunch of garbage crap. Vineyards, your poker player winnings, food truck operations, your sales throughout the day, arcade, vending machines, sports teams, all kinds of stuff this can apply to, and it's going to. They are about to tokenize every single aspect of our life. Do you understand? I'm trying to get you to see this clearly. It's about to happen. It's going to happen in the blink of an eye. And they can make the transition smooth where you don't even realize what's going on. It's like the frog getting boiled. Doesn't realize till it's too late. Okay? This is happening right in front of you. I'm trying to educate everybody so you know what's happening. All right? The Trump administration, the Gentile Messiah, is bringing this all into play, and it's happening on his watch. He said it, and I've done shown you. They're about to do a reset. He's even said it himself, and it's not only for America, it's for the global economy. A huge event is about to happen. On the other side of it, you can remain right where you're at, or you can be wealthy. That is what is about to happen. It's going to be one of the biggest transfers of wealth you've ever seen in your lifetime. I'm not so sure there's ever going to be anything else like it, like this. Outside of the gold and the silver not being taxed, them pushing this whole crypto thing with where American-made projects are tax-free opens up a door and an opportunity. There's very few things in this world you're ever going to be able to touch or do or trade or sell that they're not going to want a piece of the pie of. Come on. Come on. So when something is put out there that is not going to be taxed, I think it's worth taking a good, hard look at it because that's 100% profit there that's on the table. I would think anybody with a brain would be thinking this. So it opens up an opportunity to make money in an area that you get 100% of the proceeds. You're never going to see, good luck with that. Go out there and try selling anything right now. You're going to get taxed and have to pay your gains and everything else like every person does, your 25, 30%, whatever, on anything out there that you do, working a job. But if you were to trade gold or silver or one of these American-made crypto projects, you would not have to pay no taxes. That is crazy. That's an opportunity that you've never seen. And it's about to explode because they're going to make it explode. This is like virtually them telling you this whole market is about to explode. They're going to pump it. They're going to pump it. Okay? I just told you how Trump's coin got put out there and it petered out, sounded like $13, and it's going to get pumped. By the time anyone can go in and complain and bitch and say, oh, I lost all my money in it, they'll pump it. They'll say you didn't even hold it a year. Cut them investment stats, all this other crap. But they'll pump it. The whole market's going to get pumped to astronomical levels. It's going to. On Trump's watch. I don't know when. It could be soon, it could be later, I don't know. But they're going to take it to new highs, no doubt. 120, Bitcoin, higher. All that stuff, the whole market's going to go with it. And when it happens, you can become a millionaire. You can actually get rich. Look, the one thing that I know of that's made people that I've come in contact with throughout the past 7 years at least, that's made anyone that I personally know wealthy from anything outside of any personal business, is crypto. Gains off of crypto. It's the cold, hard truth. Other people are missing an opportunity, and I don't want you to miss it because of lack of knowledge. I've given you the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of it. You already know, if you're following me, the ins and outs of everything. My biggest concern back in the day was don't fall for the trap going onto a beast blockchain, because you should always have an option of fiat. That's first and foremost. But then it was a tax implication. That a lot of people were getting into crypto and they were dipping on the taxes, and it was creating a trap for them. And I didn't want people to fall into that trap. Now it's not a trap to that extent in terms of taxes. It's actually opened the door to an opportunity. So let's put it like this. If we started our own crypto for, let's say, our own community, hear me out, it would represent us, let's say the underground. And it would be something that we as a community can invest in, okay? That we put the time and energy and everything into. Not a pump and dump scheme. Not something that gets put out there, billions of dollars, because we know we don't have that. It's something that we start off grassroots that represents us. And we do it because somebody else is going to do it if not. They're going to tokenize every single thing that they can touch and see and point at. Do you understand? That's what's about to happen, a flurry of it. There's different ways to do these things. Like, I don't know, like Trump and them, you know what they did? They do like a pre-sale where you go to the whole audience and you're like, look, get into this. Put down money in the beginning and there's a pre-sale and then it hits the market later and then you hope that it blows up and you make a bunch of money in the process. But what happens when you do this with a lot of those projects is the team holds on to a bunch of the coins. That's the whole reason they've done it, right? So they can effectively get rich off of it. They make a coin, they make billions of coins in the supply, and they keep like 5 or 10% allocated for them or the team. They set it to the side, right? And then put all the rest of the coins on the market. Everyone buys them, they're trading them, this and that. When the market gets stupid high, they could dump all the coins that they were just sitting on, and they can make out like a bandit, and leave everybody else with a holding the bag, like a low amount of money on the coin. That's how it can traditionally be pumped and dumped. To do it though, that's how it has to be set up. The way that it needs to properly be set up. It's like, say that I made a project tonight. Then I called it the Underground. And it represented us that we could use here. Just to represent us in the community and like us. Just simply, just that. If I created it, it would be under a project and a banner of something that if I created it tonight, I would have to buy in. Just like you. That's the fair way. You understand? And that's what I'm about. And that's the fairest way to ever do it. Not creating something where I'm sitting here holding 10 million coins and then I'm pushing it on you guys, because that right there, I just explained to you. The fairest way to do it is create something where me or a team doesn't have any coins setting to the side. That if I want coin, I got to buy them just like you. Yep. That's as fair as it gets. You can do that. But most don't do that because it's not advantageous to them. They're not getting rich off of it. I'm not in this to get rich like that. I would create something for the community. That's what it's about. To represent us, something we could be proud of. If they had a market cap that got up to 50,000, we could all celebrate it. And if you want to sell when we hit 50,000, you can do that. You can sell and you can walk with whatever your chips are, whatever you invested. That's the beautiful thing. We could actually make something and grow it ourselves throughout the years. And if somebody along the way wants to dip, they can dip. Get out. And here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. Some whale wanted to come out of nowhere and hit our project and take it to a market cap to somewhere crazy. They could. Who would want to stop them? That would leave an opportunity on the table for anyone and everyone. And if a whale came through on our coin and pumped it to like $1 million market cap, you think I'm going to sit there and tell you not to make a move? That would be what you waited for the whole time. Make your moves, partner. Make your moves, is what I would say. Because this whole thing is for you, it's for us, the community. And see, that's a beautiful thing. If you could set something, opportunity like that up, that's a beautiful thing. It's pure community. That's no hitting anything. That's as raw as it gets. And it represents us. Again, I can't, it's like pushing on me hard that we at least need something to represent us before somebody else tries to come and do it. And it's like not us in control of it. You know? So anyhow, the idea is there. Here, I got an idea. start a poll for the second half. Pretty simple. Started the poll asking the question, well, should we create the underground token or not? And I'll end it at the end. If it's something that folks got questions about, you can always email me. There's a lot of information tied into all this stuff. Let me turn the page here. Let's go to Asheville. This is kind of crazy. Got to send prayers out to all my people in Asheville that are still sitting down there rocked because they can't get help, because they can't get the funding straight. You would think with the Trump administration in there, they'd get it straight, right? Well, it's just not the case. There was money put up to help these people, and it did not get approved because now the Trump administration is saying there's DEI inside of the verbiage. But when you look at it, the DEI isn't like, if this is what they're calling DEI, man, they could have pulled a fast one on everybody. Okay? You see these words right here? The impact of disasters is often disproportionately borne by vulnerable populations, okay? Including LMI households, or low-income households, marginalized communities, poor communities. You know, get rocked by a freaking hurricane or floods by coming from your government, but they can't recover because they're poor, you know? People with disabilities, you know, all the poor and disabled. Okay? They're saying that those words right there stopped all the money from flowing. Dude, is this some kind of game at this point? They're trying to say, oh yeah, that's DEI. That verbiage is DEI, so we're not approving it. And it's like, hold up. Like, there was truth in that. And now all of a sudden, when I see truth getting shot down under the guise of whatever they want to call it, we got a problem. Because there are poor people all throughout these regions that got rocked. And how that's DEI, I don't get it. But it's enough of an excuse for them not to send any of the money. So, prayers going out to my people in Asheville, man. If I could only get down there here myself, I'm going to have to try to schedule a trip to do just that. To get down to that region here soon. Maybe shoot some video. Just to get down there. It's been a long, hard winter for me, myself. Now things are warming up and changing. Hopefully, this will be my first chance to really aim to get down to an area like that. But I'd love to go down there and at least see what's going on.
Asheville, North Carolina, still reeling 6 months after Hurricane Helene devastated the region. The city is estimating $1 billion worth of damage to public property and more than $17 million in lost revenue. Approval of its $225 million federal disaster recovery grant is contingent on the action plan that it must submit to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. But their draft includes DEI criteria, with the city saying that the impact of disasters is often disproportionately borne by vulnerable populations, including low to medium income households, marginalized communities, persons with disabilities, and other underserved groups. Joining me now in this Fox Business exclusive is the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner. Mr. Secretary, thanks so much for being here this morning. Good to see you.
Well, good morning, Maria. Thank you for having me.
What do you want to say about Asheville and the DEI programs? Where are you in this recovery plan?
Well, you know, my team and I we're grateful to be here in Asheville. But as you alluded to, this draft action plan that the city of Asheville presented at first has elements of DEI in their draft action plan, and that is not acceptable to HUD. It's not acceptable to the president, according to his executive order, to get rid of all DEI. And so we're working with the city.
But they don't explain it. Oh, DEI. It's all they can ever do, like robots, is say DEI, but they can't even explain to you what it all means or anything. Because it's ridiculous. So they're sitting there using that excuse, knowing that this place has been trashed and wasted, and like, oh no, DEI. It's just like, dude, like, I see so much of the excuses, it makes me sick. I know people are down there hurting. It just bothers me, I guess, that I know people are hurting, and they put up excuses like this. Then people should have had help. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care what is to be said about this. Should have had help. The last administration, like day one when Trump got in there, checks should have been cut. Like, look, this is for Asheville. Get every single person down there that still doesn't have a roof over their head, under a roof. And thank you, RainX, for the comment. Let's dive into this shred and burn stuff out of USAID. I put a video out on this. This is craziness. I keep asking the question, who's going to go to jail for all this stuff? It's just not brought up. There's so much corruption being thrown out there. It's black magic again. Because what they're doing is they're trying to act like, look what we found. We found this, we found that, we found that, we found this. And it's disguised as transparency. But it's a huge cover-up. Because all the people that committed these crimes are getting away with it as far as I'm concerned. They're not taking no one to jail. Like the whole freaking Biden regime should be being called out right now. But I guess because what? They get a pardon? That can't happen. That's garbage. What if they were mass murderers? Like, they get away with it? Like, I don't get it. Well, I do get it. It's a show. See, that's the one answer that fills in all the blanks all the time. So, we raise all these questions, and then what USA does is they come back out and they said, look, it's all fake news. It's like, what do you mean it's fake news? And they're like, well, yeah, they shredded documents, but they were all doubles, and they were all this and that. And it was like, okay, so you had a whole building full of doubles. Yeah, I don't trust none of it. I don't trust none of them. It's pretty sickening right now that the beast establishment, federal government, that controls this whole thing, did a huge switcheroo, and they created an all-star team of likable faces for all from Tulsi to RFK and all this stuff, and they pulled a roost on them all. And that they've got everyone just in love with all of them. They got them in love with the feds. I'll play that game. I'll play that game. Loving Tulsi, Bondi, Cash. Loving them feds, huh? Bonchinos. They played you all. You fall in love with all these characters. They're all feds. It's Illuminati. That's all I got to say. If there's righteous men and women out there, then let them be righteous. Okay? Now's the time to shine. But tell them by their fruits. Always. Here's a plus. Over 200,000 government credit cards have been shut down. Well, there was apparently 4.6 million government credit cards that accounted for 90 million transactions that amounted to more than $40 billion. And see, this is what I'm asking. Who spent the money? Oh, we don't know. They were on card. Well, whose name was on the card? Why are you blowing smoke? Why do you keep telling us all this money's come out and you won't say a word about a single person? Who spent this money? Who approved it? Like, this is where people that have a brain are seeing this and are like, hold on, something's not right. And it's not right. Sit there, come out every other day and tell us millions and billions of dollars missing, unique transactions. It's actually on credit cards. It can all be tracked with, it has to be names. It had been spent at places. They have security cameras. Like, you don't seem to care about none of that. And your lack of caring is a huge red flag to me. This is a huge cover-up designed as transparency, I'm telling you. It's all Doge is, which is garbage. Can't stand Elon Musk, the whole thing. None of it. This isn't about nothing left, nothing right. For anyone that's just walking in trying to wake up, I'm way beyond that. I see these demons for what they are. And this ain't good. Mr. Neuralink clicked up with Mr. Warp Speed, the Gentile Messiah. And they just running game on the crowd. Black magic at its finest. They're wizards, man. So the wizards come out today. They basically shoot a commercial for Tesla. That's how I took it. I'm going to play some clips. But Tesla's been getting attacked out there. I've told you, I've shown these clips. They've been getting shot up. They've been getting firebombed, Molotov cocktailed, like literally shot up. And then just the vehicle's getting pummeled out in the open. Well, Trump come out and like made this comment, made all these comments like, oh, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. I'm going to buy one. It was like a commercial for real. That's how I took it. And they took the video. I had a video. There was a video here. Hold on a second here, man. There's no video. Not on this link. If I find it on another one, I thought it was on this link, but it might. I got another one that relates to this here coming up. So what they say in this is basically, oh, it's beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. And Elon goes up and he hits on it and he goes, yeah, this is bulletproof. And Trump starts tripping out, the whole thing, it's bulletproof. And of course, Trump's going to want to roll on something bulletproof. And the timing, me being me, going through news constantly, the release of all this information, I found it kind of crazy that right as he said that and made all these announcements, and he's like, it's bulletproof, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, I'm going through, and then I come across this, and it's the U.S. Army's Joint Light Tactical Vehicles have never passed the required armor testing, meaning bulletproof. They're not bulletproof. And I'm sitting there thinking, instantly, it just came to me like, somehow these cyber things are going to be incorporated into our military stuff. I could just see it going that way. And if they're more bulletproof than our light tactical vehicles, are you kidding me? Like if they're fighting down there at the border and it gets intense, I think it's sherry for the coffee. They're down there fighting and they're using, armor-piercing rounds or whatever, and they're getting through. They don't even need that, I don't think. They're getting through on these vehicles. What's going to be the answer? Elon's going to step up and be like, we can sit down on my Cybertrucks. They're all bulletproof. That's how he's going to put it. I mean, that's how he's promoted it the whole time. And I've often wondered, why did he come out so hard, like, promoting something so, like, militarized. And maybe that was the goal the whole time. And the way they keep talking and everything about all the vehicles of the future need to look at, and all this is what he was saying. Well, they're also talking about revamping all of our military stuff because it needs it. And as you can see here, our freaking Joint Light Tactical Vehicles are not even bulletproof. You're going to just get shot up in them, and shrapnel easily tear through it. You know, Tesla comes along, Elon, he's like, I got the answer for it. You know, I'll just send a ton of Cybertrucks and we'll retrofit them with whatever weaponry. Are you kidding me? They're gonna have lasers and all this other stuff. We're in wild times, and like they're gonna eventually be like, this, get rid of the human too. Like I can see these crazy meetings happening, and them talking like this, like just get rid of the humans at this point. Or pop a Neuralink in them so we can control them full scale like a video game. I could see him saying that in a sick, sinister way, but serious. I think you wake up America. They're going to be like, well, just get rid of them. Because Elon has a whole freaking warehouse full, like probably multiple warehouses, of Terminator robots that can run and chase you down and never stop. And like traditional bullets are not going to stop them. So all the good old boys, all the patriots out there that got safes full of ammunition and guns, it might have stopped some blue helmets, man, but you ain't stopping these Terminator bots. Oh, you don't like what they say? You just wait. You're going to get labeled a domestic terrorist because they didn't like what you said, because you didn't agree with them. Oh, you don't think it's going there? It's already there. Yeah, so let me jump into some politics. And let's talk about this Autopen thing, because it's a real thing, and I think they got a leg to stand on, that they can undo all this stuff that Biden signed because of this. Now, I'm just going to preface it here with this video here.
Sure, good to see you.
Press Secretary, many are concerned about the validity of President Biden's official actions and also his pardons of the possible criminal actions of individuals such as his family members and Liz Cheney, as information is emerging that many of his official actions were auto-signed. Possibly even the pardons, and without his knowledge or consent. Does the White House have any information available currently that Biden was actually the one that approved and signed those pardons? And second question, will the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy and pardons without his knowing approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question and get back to you.
Over the course of administration, certainly your signature can change. So the Autopen is usually reflective of the most current signature. What we notice is that Joe Biden's signature never changed over the course of those 4 years, which, back to your point, shows and shows good evidence that this was always the Autopen. There was never a physical signature. I do have sources at the White House that said that President Biden utilized the Autopen more than any other president in our history. And when you talk about, well, who assigned the Autopen, at the end of the day, all eyes should be looking at the staff secretary. The staff secretary sits in the West Wing, is in constant communication with the president, or whoever is pulling the strings in Joe Biden's case. And they're the ones that facilitate from the start to the finish, all the drafts, all the legal jargon, using the Office of General Counsel, say it's domestic policy or National Security Council. They're the conduit between all of those facets. And then when it's finally ready to go pen to paper, the staff secretary instructs for Autopen. So I would be looking at the staff secretaries. It was Neera Tanden. President Biden had 3, and that's pretty normal for the turnover. But Neera Tanden, Stephanie Feldman, and Jessica Hertz, of which 2 of those were under the Domestic Policy Council, which you could probably assume were the spearheaders for some of those very progressive agendas.
So that gives you a really good idea of what's going on there with the Autopen thing up front. So there's a ton of things that were going down that looked like Joe Biden was signing off on, but he wasn't. That's pretty crazy. What's this is? This says right here, 6 criminals were pardoned while he was on vacation on the golf course. So at the exact time that these pardons were put into place, Joe Biden, it was proven, was on the golf course. Okay. That's pretty crazy. And that's the signature right there. One signature. It was overlapped. It was overlapped and shown that all these auto pens were using the same signature. And it was never, it's supposed to use the most recent signature that the president used. And that's not the case here. Apparently, they used this the entire time. Somebody was using this to sign everything. Here's a good clip right here. And you want to know what's crazy? When you look at all the pardons of Anthony Fauci, Jenna Milley, the J6 committee, all of them, they were all done with this Autopen, which raises the question, if it was illegal, then these pardons should not count. They should be thrown out the window, overrode. You'll see right here, look at this. All of them an exact match. Right there. And, yeah, they go on to say here again that while he was on vacation and on the golf course, these documents were officially signed with this Autopen. So, Haba here seems to think that they can actually go and get somewhere with this. Thinks that they can actually turn some things over. I would like to see it happen. I'd like to see something happen here with this, because everything was so criminal with that administration. I want to see something. Revoke the pardons, exactly as Tooch said.
To take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have open factories. It's going to be great. And the plane is landing. And
We gotta go.
thank you for a lot of good
Thanks,
questions.
Alina Hobb is a counselor to President Trump. You've traveled with the president on Air Force One. What's it like when he goes back and talks to the press? Is it hostile? Is it strange?
No, not at all. I mean, first of all, he can willingly go there, and he does, because he's not afraid to answer questions. But no, it's not hostile at all. They ask questions. They ask him questions like they do all day, which is what we see from President Trump. I mean, the insomnia comment, Jesse, I just have to go back to it. I mean, the only people that should be losing sleep right now are the Democrat Party. It's the Nancy Pelosi's who we're looking at. It's the Liz Cheney's, Pocahontas. We're looking at all that stuff, and we're going to find out why you're so rich on government money. There's just so much to go into. I don't even know where to start. But who would you want running your country, Jesse? You want to get advice from Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden, who evidently signed everything with an auto signature, didn't even know what he was signing? Or do you want Elon Musk to help the commander in chief, and there's only one, President Donald Trump, cut waste and make us money? The man is a self-made billionaire. He ran an amazing company. He will run this country that way. So, I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding right there.
You see a lot of this money going out the door, and it's very sketchy. And it always ends up in the hands of Democrats who happen to know Democrats who are handing out the money. This has to be looked into. Is the Department of Justice looking into this very severely?
I'm not going to speak for Pam Bondi. I'll tell you this. I am part of the administration. Pam Bondi is amazing. I saw Cash and Pam today for a swearing-in ceremony.
She's part of the team, so she won't dare speak anything negative on them. That's basically what she just said. And that's what sickens me. She, too, is one of those faces they put together on this team. And I could tell what they did this whole time throughout these years as they gauged this. All these what I call likable faces that they know people like because they just go and they track it. They track it on the internet. They go to social media especially, and they track it. If these people have a large following, that says a lot, and that's what they wanted. They want people that a majority of the crowd would fall in love with and like and listen to. And just when you get people like that, when they like a certain person, they can sit there and say some things that they don't even necessarily agree with, but they're going to let it slide because they like them. You see? And that's what's happening here in mass. It's happening left and right in all departments. Makes me sick because I can see it for what it is. I can see it working on the people, but we stand here fighting the fight. You know, Paul revering it, trying to wake the crowd up. Like, no, wake up. Wake up. They're playing you. They're playing you. Don't fall for this. It's all one big illusion. Don't fall back asleep now. Now, after all this, come on. You're almost there. Just about got your head wrapped around that this is one big evil orchestration. It is. And if people rise to the occasion to fight the beast, they normally get attacked. You know? They'll attack you financially, and they'll try to jail you and this and that, and just try to kill you. As we've seen. That's the way. But if you play the game the way that they want it to be played, and you participate in the scheme, in the scam, then you're good to go. And that's what I say about RFK. He's the Kennedy, the type of Kennedy that, like Teddy, that plays the game for the beast, not against the beast. His dad, his uncle, they went against the grain. Against that hand. And that hand is still controlling and influencing everything. And they're not calling it out. It's always said, I hear people say all the time, well, if he was real, he'd have been done like his daddy. Or this and that. And a lot of people seem to feel that way, or think that he would, if he was a real threat by any means, that he would catch some kind of backlash because, whatever. And it's an honest point. I don't trust him. I don't trust none of it. This, that. I don't trust none of them. I don't trust the feds, man. That you all of a sudden think the establishment, the deep state relinquished all of its power to this all-star team of superheroes and led by the Gentile Messiah. Like, this is nuts. But this is how it is. It's a real deal. So RFK, whether I like him or not, and I give an honest opinion on all these people. I give mine, but if they do something good, I give them props. If they do something bad, we're calling them out. But he is seeking to end a rule that allows food companies to bypass FDA ingredient approvals. Now, I don't know all the details to all this stuff, but basically they had to, the companies was given almost like a loophole that they, as long as it was like legal and it was good in their eyes, good faith, they could put certain things, they could change certain things without having the FDA to come in and review it and, get all the stuff. And they were taking advantage of that. Now, I'm all for removing all the harmful stuff that's out there, all the food dyes, and this and that's cancerous. This should have never been there to begin with. Because we do get fed in this country way more toxic stuff than anyone else will allow. If you look around the country or around the world, our country, the FDA is supposed to be there to protect you and keep you safe, right? I mean, they will allow more toxic chemicals in certain foods to be put upon the masses here in this country, more so than any other place on the planet. And this is why pharmaceutical places and other places have made a killing over the years here. So RFK coming in, trying to expose all this stuff, and I mean, on that tip, it is what it is. Okay, so this one is kind of caught my attention because Trump is threatening to label Americans domestic terrorists and to use a label on them And the label is domestic terrorism. Man. Warned and warned and warned about this type of stuff. Right here. This exact stuff. I see the other side of the coin almost immediately because I got to look at it from, got to put discernment on it and see it from all angles. What if this is patriots in the streets going against anything the Gentile Messiah is just trying to push? This shows me that anyone that wants to say no against this government, against Trump and them on some of these issues, like the whole thing, the Palestinians they just attacked, because it goes against Israel. They're going to label them domestic terrorists. So say you got a problem with something that they're doing, something that they're pushing, and you don't like it, and you take to the streets to protest it. All of a sudden, Americans that got a right to protest are being labeled by Donald Trump, the president, as domestic terrorists. That's the problem with this. Once this label is created and used and stuck and slapped on dissidents, basically, it doesn't matter if it's left or right. They're going to start it off this way by saying it's the left and all this other stuff. And these people that are coming out and burning Teslas. But man, this is going to get worse than this. This is everything they really ever wanted, which is scary. They wanted chaos. They wanted to get this brewing somehow. But see, they could never get it over the years past. The way that I see it is that it just was never going to work. They tried so hard to always push a race war, so to speak, but now it's set up different. They've brought it here. They created it. Right? Certain neighborhoods, everything past 10, 20, 30 years, they were not like they were, here recently, within the past 5 especially, with this influx of people that have come in. Complete neighborhoods have been taken over. They're not what they used to be. People cannot assimilate. It's been part of a Trojan horse. And there's going to start to be attacks. Well, it's already happened. You've seen with the explosions. There was the IED explosion that also happened at the border. And I really don't think that has even started to kick up yet. Just wait till there's bodies dropping and they start stacking up from exchanges with the cartels and all the stuff popping off at the border. I figure as we get into the summer, it's probably going to heat up pretty good. They're doing everything that you do right now, right before you go in and start pounding an area hard. Running all these different kind of aerial missions to observe what's on the ground. The drones all over the place. All their heavy machinery and equipment in position on the ground on our side. All kinds of different teams set up. All kinds of different branches of military. Apaches that can hit them from 100 miles away. They won't even see them. They won't even see them or hear them. Same with the drones or anything else. With these new UFOs that they showed us they have. That's them. It's our government that they have. They can outrun our military aircraft easy. We don't know what kind of gas tank. See, they've yet to come out and tell us the goods on all that too. You see, they come out and admitted it was ours. We figured that much out. The FAA lights and all that. But then it went silent. Just like Fort Knox. I don't like this domestic terrorism label. You remember it. Because to me, when things like this are created, they're very dangerous. Double-edged sword. And I've been warning about this, something like this here, for a long time. The day that it was going to switch to just this. From terrorism to domestic terrorism. And it be a full-blown label applied to the people. And look who's putting it out there. The Gentile Messiah. He's the one doing it. So imagine when it's your youth fighting for their life and protesting in the streets for whatever in the future. They'll all easily be dubbed by then domestic terrorist. And then what? They get drone struck? AI deemed them to be domestic terrorists and the dissidents? Strike them. Who makes that decision? They put it in the hands of AI. Man. I don't like it. I don't like that label. Where it goes. Oh, here's the clip. Let me play this clip of Trump.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, Mr. President, you talked about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists because...
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have you get a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And no, we're going to catch them. And let me tell you.
You hear that? It's all the same garbage. That's how Trump views it. It's all the same garbage. It doesn't matter who or what. They're at the universities here. They're all the same garbage. And we're going to catch them. That's how they view it. So anyone that's not on the Trump train, that wants to boo or doesn't like what he's doing, they want to call you like a freaking terrorist. And there's a big difference, man. People are not terrorists because they don't agree with you. You see, and that is a huge difference. If they're conducting terrorist activity, then that's one thing. But to just create the label domestic terrorist and then say, oh, anyone, all these different people, the examples he just gave, and said all of them, they're all garbage. Like, all garbage. Like, this Gentile Messiah, he's definitely got the Messiah complex going. So here's a bone. Got thrown to the crowd. Kash Patel steps up and says, guess what? We're charging a high-ranking CBP official in a fraud scheme scandal. And I'm like, okay, someone's finally going to jail. Someone's finally getting charged, right? But this isn't connected to all those billions and millions and all the credit cards and all the stuff we talked about. It's not. This is her own little scheme got her busted here, which she should go to jail. She's busted for her own little thing here. But still, all those billions and everything else, like nobody's going down for it. Kash Patel comes out and hands over the January 6th pipe bomb documents to Republicans. Now here's the thing. With this whole thing, there is some redactedness, and they admitted it. Because they say there's always going to be a little bit of redactedness. There has to be. So, what happens there is their agents' names are redacted. But who's not are the FBI informants. And see, this is what's key. When it comes down to events like this, and everything comes out in the wash, like in the end, so to speak, this is as close as it's ever going to get, that we ever get, is this is how they do it. So they're going to basically snitch out and give up their informants and their names and all that. That's going to be known. But any on the payroll agents, their stuff is redacted. And that's just the way that it is, man. And Kash Patel is no different. And he's sitting there with like this crappy grin on his face, like handing them the stuff like here, like, and they're like, well, you know, it's just like redacted. And he's like, well, you know, there has to, you know, he gives the same old spiel. You know, it's like, you guys going to give us some JFK. He's going to come out finally and give you stacks of JFK stuff, but it's too going to be redacted. What's the point if it's all redacted? You see? what do we have here? The FBI redactions on the Seth Rich Index leave no answers. So we get an admission, a release of some information. This is just like the Epstein stuff, man. This is ridiculous. Instead of getting anywhere with it, they're blowing smoke. And still, where's Bondi at all these days later with all this information on the whole Epstein stuff? The people forgot about it, so since they're not talking about it, they're not talking about it. So now Seth Rich, this gets released. And this is big because Seth Rich, connected to the DNC servers and all that stuff, the death, well, this could have said a lot. But guess what? They released the same thing. Cash hands out heavily redacted Seth Rich files, which a ton of people are criticizing the number of redactions in the index. It's insane. And it's like, hold on, this doesn't pass the smell test. This is what people are saying right out the gate. Like, there's something wrong. Like, it's like, no, what were you thinking? Oh, you fell for the illusion the Cash was going to be some superhero with the cape, just like all the other crap. And it makes me sick. Makes me sick. Makes me sick, man. It's why, like, I even have to cut ties with people that continue down this illusion. You know, when these people's true colors start to bleed out, and you can see that what they're pushing here is not good, and like, you have to call it for what it is. We should have got transparency here on a case like Seth Rich, whether it hurt or not, whether they wanted to admit it was this or that, if it implicated. Well, what it did is it definitely implicated some super powerful people, some Pelosi's or something like that, some high-ranking, some Schumer, some high-ranking DNC side people, and it's something that they don't want out. Establishment's just not letting out. So you get nothing but redacted files. Come on. It's the same old song and dance. It really ticks me off, but I mean, it's all it ever is. Hand you a stack of redacted files. It's garbage, man. It's all garbage. Alright, some updates here real quick on the other countries around the world. The largest ever Ukrainian drone attack hits Moscow. Doesn't seem like Zelensky wants peace, right? Well, Moscow is about to recapture the entire Kursk pocket. And as I said before, they had all the Ukrainian troops surrounded. You can see here the Wall Street Journal's chief foreign correspondent declares that it's over for Ukraine in Kursk. That basically the Russians are there. They've unrolled their flag. They occupy the whole thing. And it's like, it's done. They've got it. They've got the whole region. So, they say Ukraine has agreed to enter truce negotiations with Moscow. Okay? This is where we sit. Okay, this is per Rubio saying this. Ukraine agrees to a 30-day ceasefire with Russia after they say Trump strong arms Zelensky. If this is true and it holds, it would be key. But Russia basically is like, man, they're trying to play some hardball right now. Will Russia agree to all this? They're trying to say that the only people that want truces are those that are on the run, evading. And that it does no good for Russia. That they should keep pounding them. They're trying to play the hard position now. And what's this say right here? Russia must not fall into Trump's honey trap. You know, so there was all this talk, like some big deals, we'll see. Ukraine turns around and says they're not going to recognize any territory that's occupied by Russia. So all these places Russia just went in and took over, they're not going to recognize it. And that's not going to work for true peace. Really, this is Zelensky's got to go. This all comes back to him being a problem. I can't stand this witch. This von der Leyen, this Ursula, this Queen of Europe, basically here, World Economic Forum Queen of Europe. That's how I see her. That's what I've dubbed her. She's basically saying that gender equality means that women should be drafted to fight and die for the country. She has no problem. Just like the first thing she wants to talk about or say about women's rights is that they should go and die. That the women should go and die. The first thing comes, not that she have rights to vote or just as much rights to make as much money as men or this and that. None of those arguments. Just they got a right to go die. Man, these evil people. Well, they're about to have to do it if America backs out away from this whole NATO thing. Europe's on their own against what, the boogeyman Russia? Of the boogeyman Russia that keeps Europe alive throughout the winter with natural gas and all that. The world is a staged scam. It's what it is, I'm telling you. It's all scam. You got establishments sell out pieces of crap. Lindsey Graham, right here, one of them. They help support and create these jihad groups, these ISIS groups, Al-Qaeda groups over the years. And now, the same monster that they created is slaughtering Christians in Syria by the thousands. It's sickening. It's grotesque. I can't show you the footage. You wouldn't want to see the footage. It's some of the most horrendous slaughtering of our fellow Christians that you're going to find on this planet currently. It is absolutely sick. And these pieces of work like Graham help create this monster and let it loose. And this is what it's doing. And now the people are in an uproar. He's trying to turn the table oh, we don't support him now. This and that. And it's just oh, yeah, what, too late? You created a monster. It's your fault. You better go drop your bombs on them then. And stop them. But no, there's not a word of that. Not a word of it. It's a sick game, man. I can't stand this piece of work. Some of these sellout establishment politicians that help get us into this position. I thought that this clip, I'm going to play this small clip of Trump real quick. I thought it was kind of funny, man, because he looks so chunky, man. He looked like he was, it was a decade ago. I don't know, this Trump. It's funny, man. I don't even know if it'll play.
Analyzing people. So I've watched Assad, and I've watched a little bit on the other side. The problem is the other side of Assad, we have no idea who they are. They probably are ISIS. I'm saying, are we better off with Assad? We have no idea who these people are. We give them weapons, we give them ammunition, we give them everything. Aaron, we have no idea who, I mean, maybe it's worse than Assad. So what are we doing? Why are we involved? We have to get rid of ISIS, very importantly. But I look at Assad, and Assad, to me, looks better than the other side. And, you know, this has happened before. We back a certain side, and that side turns out to be a total catastrophe. Russia likes Assad seemingly a lot. Let them worry about ISIS. Let them fight it out. Now, in Iraq, we have to do it. We shouldn't have been there in the first place, but we left.
I'm not playing the whole thing. I'm gonna sum it up to what's happening right now, if you don't know. Oddly enough, Israel has just asked that Russia keep its base in Syria. And it's what I call a curtain drop moment. It shows you how much of a stage this whole thing is. And then all of a sudden you start hearing this talk of U.S. and Russia being pals and buddies, and Israel would be a neutral that both bow down to, basically, support. Vladimir Putin, there's even prophecy that Russia would occupy some of the areas of the Holy Land. And it was in a matter of basically of trying to protect it. Like that they would be there on the ground, boots on the ground, at some point. Helping to protect certain areas or whatever, I don't know. But this move is definitely a connection between the three. And the bad guy on the ground is HTS, which is slaughtering Christians. Again, it's one of the worst massacres I've seen in a long time. Of killing complete families, wiping complete communities out, broad daylight, right there in the street. It's the most disgusting. It's those are the people that should not be here. But yeah, they're here, and they're over there slaughtering Christians, and America largely doesn't care. So China, Russia, Iran going to hold nuclear talks. We're not out of the woods yet. They want to talk about being buddies with Russia, and World War III is over. It's like, I don't know about that. China's poised to always be a threat at this rate. And if something big happens, it's going to be blamed on them. And they're saying that U.S. is testing technology to warn when China is tracking them. So now they've got stuff that can tell them if their satellite's getting tracked. And this leads to the whole space wars thing and where this is going. Like, we're at a point here where they strike up these deals. The Gentile Messiah, Trump, strikes up these deals. And you get this false peace or whatever going. The only thing to go to war with is going to be a threat. Just as Ronald Reagan had said. From outside of this planet. It's basically how they're going to portray it. My thing is in the end, I'm not so sure that that's even the case. Because the ones that are here are the fallen. And they've been here the entire time. So it's not like, spaceships show up in the sky, that they just showed up from deep space. No. Did you read your Bibles? Book, these things done been here, landed on Mount Hermon. The same Mount Hermon Israel just did everything that they could to occupy. First thing they did when Assad fled, first thing they did is they jumped on Mount Hermon. Why? Because Mount Hermon is where the fallen landed. That's right. They're here. They've been here. The entire time. That's why I don't buy it when some of these cats like Greer get out there and want to start talking all this. They want to dodge the fact that these characters are of the fallen. It's just raises some questions with me. I'm going to play a clip here that deals with all this, with the technology, with the stuff that I talk about all the time, where these orbs come in and basically shut down the weaponry. And this is what I say could be the good guys, because the bad guys are the fallen, the ones that give this technology to our government. They're working with them in the bases and all this and other stuff. They're not attacking them, so to speak, in like doing all these other things. It would have to be like an opposition force, what I call the good guys potentially here. If you got all this evil here, doing all these evil things, and somebody's coming in and like stopping them, that's a good thing. And could it potentially be good guys? Well, play this clip here so you guys can get a feel for what I'm talking about.
I was the officer in charge of optical instrumentation at Vandenberg Air Force Base in the 1369th Photo Squadron. And as such, it was my duty to supervise the instrumentation photography of every missile that went down the Western Test Range. In those days, we called them ICBMs, inter-county ballistic missiles, because most of them blew up on launch. And our job was to determine why they blew up, to provide the engineers good enough engineering sequential photography so that they could see what was wrong with the bird as it took off in flight. What we photographed up there affected me for the rest of my life and made a huge impact on my understanding of the universe and of governmental manipulation of our minds. The purpose of them was they were ballistic missiles. They were to deliver nuclear weapons on targets. That's what they were there for. We weren't launching real nuclear weapons. We were launching dummy warheads. They were the exact size, shape, and dimension and weight of a nuclear warhead. For my stunning achievement in finding a place where I could look back at Vandenberg Air Force Base from up north, and for figuring out how to transmit the timing up there, and for getting the thing set up, I was awarded the Air Force Guided Missile Insignia. I was the first photographic officer in the Air Force to get they called it the missile badge. And it was a highly coveted thing at the time. It was definitely in 1964 because Florence Mansman confirmed that, and he knew. He had written it down and knew the exact date of it. They counted down the missile. We heard engine ignition, lift off. We knew the missile was underway. And we were looking down southwest, and the missile popped up through the fog. It was just beautiful. And I hollered, "There it is." And our guys on our M45 tracking mount with 180-inch lenses on it got it. And the big BU telescope swung over and got it. And we followed the thing, and sure enough, we could see all three stages of powered flight as they burned out and dropped away. And then, of course, to our naked eye, all we saw was a smoke trail going off into subspace as it headed off toward its target, which was Eniwetok Island, Eniwetok Atoll. So we whooped and shouted and heard the film wrap off in the BU telescope and figured, well, that was our first big deal, and we got it. We sent the film back down to Vandenberg, and I don't know exactly how long it was after the event. It might have been a day or two. I was called into Major Mansman's office at the 1st Strategic Aerospace Division headquarters. And I walked into his office, and they had a screen and a 16-millimeter projector set up. There was a couch, and Major Mansman said, "Sit down," and there were two guys, as I recall, two guys in gray suits, civilian clothes, which was fairly unusual. And Major Mansman said, "Watch this," and turned on the film projector. And I watched the screen, and there was the launch from a day or two before at Big Sur. It was quite exciting because of the length of the telescope. As the Atlas missile entered the frame, we could see the whole third stage, which has two rocket nozzles like this and one in the center, a gimbaled one in the center, fill in our frame from about 160 miles. That was pretty exciting optics. We watched that stage burn out. We watched the second stage burn out. We watched the third stage burn out. And into the frame came something else. It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, we're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, I saw that. I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Klass can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO."
Now, this clip goes on further. I wanted you to just hear this testimony because there's been a lot of stories like this over the years, and this is just one more that explains what I've said many times about these things coming in and doing just this. He explained it in perfect detail right there, this exact type of event where someone else is coming in and showing, basically saying, "Hey, check it out. We can take your stuff down in a heartbeat. There's nothing you can do about it." So when I stop and I think about that, why would that be? Why would it be like the ones they're working with? Makes no sense. We know that they're working with forces, different intelligence, like not good guys. Obviously, this whole place is pretty dang evil. But it always just comes to me, who is this? Who's coming in and attacking them? Because I often say, who can wage war with the beast? You know? Who can stop this beast? Well, then all of a sudden somebody's popping into the frame and they're taking their missiles out of the sky. And I'm like, oh, really? Who is this? Who is this? What team's this? You feel me? All I can hope is that it's the good guys. They have to be active at some point to some degree somewhere. And I would feel that it would be about just like this. So, there's definitely proof that this is ongoing. This is a different force. This isn't the force that they're getting along with and working with and all this. This is someone else that's observing and going in and checking them and saying, hey, like, we got you. You know, your little rockets. Your little rockets. And you think about everything we just sat here and talked about and the technologies, knowing that our government's got, look at the UFOs they just put on display, anti-gravitics, and Elon's still putting on a puppet show over here with rockets. With rockets. It's such a show. And that's all it is, especially with that, all that stuff. When you've got this kind of technology, anti-gravitics, and you've got all this other stuff, man, like, get out of here. Like, rockets are, like, done. Ancient. Not needed. Like, a waste. And it's a huge leap in technology. But, I don't know, man. We seem to be on the cusp of something. I just want to talk about, if it turns to war, well, they're ready. All the countries got their weaponry up there, so to speak. I've uncovered it. They can get into subspace. You know, subspace is still, you've got thousands and thousands of miles you go up. Van Allen belts can go all the way out to like 24. or something crazy. So they've got that whole area there in subspace here above the Earth to work within before they get into the radiation belt. Yeah, pretty interesting. I love seeing some of the live footage from up there. I would love to launch our own balloon. Because I would love to do a CubeSat satellite. I just don't know if we'll ever have the means to do it. We talked about it years ago. I had some guys that acted like they were going to do it, and the snap that checked out to be frauds. Same dude tried to come and he was going to make that website for all of us find, and basically took my website and dismantled it. All that garbage. They were saying that they were going to do these CubeSat satellite things, but that was all a garbage lie. But a fact is, you can launch a CubeSat satellite with cameras if you get SEC approval, and they give you a license and all this other stuff. You can launch a CubeSat satellite and get it in the subspace, but you have to jump through all these hoops, and these licenses are like $20,000, $30,000 a piece. And they could still say no, that you're not doing it. It's too crowded. They got this going on, that going on. And they give you whatever excuse under the sun, literally, to not do it, to shut you down. That's why I said, screw it, let's launch a weather balloon. And these days they make them super strong. They go way, way up there in the subspace. And what gave me the idea is I watched a kid or a guy and his kids do it and launch it up there with cameras. And they tracked it, retrieved it, put the footage up. And when I was sitting there skimming through it, they didn't put anything in the title, of anything crazy. It was just this was our balloon launch footage and this and that. And I went and I looked and I was like, oh my gosh. Look at what you caught. All over the place in the footage. And thank you, Isaac, for the coffee. All over the place in the footage were these things. And he's in subspace at this point. So they're not bugs, they're not birds, for all the small-minded people out there that say that stuff. There's something else going on here. And you see them everywhere. And it's exactly what I expected. I suspected. I suspected if we get our own cameras up there, in our own eyes and ears, we're going to see something that they obviously don't want us to see. And let's do it. Let's put some things to bed. Let's put some things to rest. Let's do it. Elon, none of them shills are going to tell us the truth. They're all playing a little game, still sitting there launching rockets when they know that we've got anti-gravitics. It's pathetic. It's all a show. It's a show, literally. It's sad. We're never really going to see the advantages of that stuff. I feel like they're going to control it to a max. Where we're all flying around like the Jetsons, going from here to there in our anti-gravitic vehicles and all that, the way it really should be. We should be taking advantage of it. But they're not going to do it. They're going to say you have to be a part of the beast system. I'm telling you. To ever enjoy any of those things. So, I guess I'm, until the good guys show up, like I said, we're stuck with all these baddies that just want to prance around like they're the messiahs and they're the heroes. Like Elon does constantly. But, I don't know, I feel like we've got a big space event coming our way too. That guy just talked about it. He just talked about there's something else here. There's something coming. Yeah, I know there's a higher force coming with judgment. like a thief in the night here at any time. I've always felt like they're going to set the stage to turn the world against it. So they tell the whole world, you know, bad guys coming. Everybody turn their guns on it. It's literally them turning their guns on the Most High. Because all the baddies are here. You understand this? As far as I could tell. And somebody's coming to wipe this place out, man. A lot of evil here. Obviously, flooding it out didn't work. You're going to have to burn it up. You're going to have to burn them out. And burn them out of their foxholes deep into this earth. Man, that would be the end of this planet. But what is promised? A new heaven and a new earth is coming. It makes sense. You'd have to. You'd have to have something new because this place is going to get wiped out. It's ultimately how I see it. And it's not by anything other than the hand of God as it's written. Coming back, bringing judgment by fire. On these tears. All right. Now, I'm going to jump into my last story here of the night. And this has to... I tried to get this in on the last one and ran out of time. But this is important. Talk on this for about 10 minutes and then get some final thoughts. Take us out of here. This whole thing with Diddy and all this stuff in Tupac, the Tupac murder. Well, I have some rather huge revelations that have come to light. Some huge announcements and huge stuff here connected into this whole thing. Now, there's a new face being tied into this Diddy stuff. Let me start there. It's this guy. You may recognize this guy. John Pelletier. He was the Maui police chief when the fires broke out. He also just so happened to be the guy that was in charge of everything in Vegas when the mass shooting went down. Now, he's being directly tied into all this stuff with Diddy. And I'm like, oh boy. See, this is what we needed. This is like literally the first big name to drop in one of their own. Like, they always protect their own, the cops and the feds. Like, before the feds ever tell you they were involved in any of these murders, they'll hang out every single one of these stars. They'll hang them. They'll hang them out to dry. Like Diddy, they'll throw him under the bus. He was a part of these murders between Tupac and Biggie. He sure was. He played a vital role. And they'll pin him on him before they'll ever have a single agent sitting in court taking the rap for being the trigger man. Do you understand me? Or orchestrating it. They watched all this. The night Tupac was shot and murdered, the feds were tracking him, watching him. They've seen everything. Why didn't they pursue? There's so many questions. Why didn't they pursue the gunman? Why didn't they do this and that? Where's the footage and all that? There was footage from every corner, blah, 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 go on and on. It's because they were part of it. They were overseeing their own op. That's why. Overseeing their own op. In both instances. Yep. Orchestrated the whole thing. And what they're about to do is they're doing it right now. Reggie Wright Jr. is going down for the orchestration of the hits on Tupac and Biggie. And he's been the one that the feds have had out here free because he should have been in prison for the past year or so, couple of years. He should have been in prison. He's been on YouTube popping off videos, doing whatever Greg Ketting says goes, which is the Fed. And throwing this whole storyline out there. Well, as it's all come to light now, who is the one that orchestrated all this? Guess who finally said it? Guess who's finally come out and spilled the beans on all this? Suge Knight. Suge Knight. In coded ways, And then finally, this pretty much come out and flat out said it, that Reggie Wright Jr. is the one that stood to benefit him and his co-conspirators from the whole thing of eliminating Pac, of eliminating Suge, taking over all of Death Row, because that's ultimately what happened when Suge went to jail. Reggie had control of it. And they were releasing all these albums of Tupac's, and they were trying to push the idea that Tupac was still alive, to play into the whole Machiavelli thing and to make all this money and all this other crap. And it was Reggie that had control of the Machiavelli album that planted the seed at the very beginning of the album that said, Suge shot me. Reggie did it all. It was Reggie that was behind all the killings of all the rest of the people, of Heron, of Buntry. Buntry was gunned down at the gas station. Guess whose car he was driving? Whose truck? Reggie's. Okay? Guess who was a cop? Reggie. Guess whose daddy was the main cop of Compton when we were all coming up back in the 90s? Reggie Wright. Reggie Wright Sr. Guess who's all controlled and tied into the Masons and the Feds and everything else? These boys. Okay? So, it's been said now that the night when Tupac got shot, there was comms that went out that said, got him. And Kevin Moore heard this because they were all supposed to be sitting at the 662 in Vegas. And see, this was all set up. Tupac didn't even want to go. He didn't want to go to this fight, didn't want to participate and do none of this. But all of it, from the fight that happened to the shooting itself, was all set up. David Kenner was the lawyer for Death Row Records and for Tupac Shakur. David Kenner was fired by Tupac that week of his death, that he was shot, because he found out a whole bunch of concerning stuff. And that David Kenner, being his lawyer and the lawyer of Death Row Records, was a conflict of interest. And it was. So it was David Kenner that told Tupac that he had, for his probation, to fulfill it, perform at Club 662 in Vegas this night. And this was the whole plot and ploy to where he had to go. Where he had to go. Like, by law, was going to get in trouble and all that crap. So they made sure they pinned this on Pac. That, like, you have to come. You have to at least do this concert. So before, they were going to the Tyson fight, of course. And, of course, Pac's not going to miss the Tyson fight. So they went, they did it, and it was a set-up fight afterwards. That's all on camera. That was basically to set up a reason for why Tupac would get shot and killed later. The real reason is this government wanted him gone. The men that they used was Reggie Wright Jr. and his security team. They too, like David Kenner, were fired by Tupac just days before this. So Tupac and Suge are heading down the strip. Frank Alexander is behind them with Gaddafi on the strip, heading out through there. And Frank Alexander's getting blown up by Reggie Wright to come back to the place because he knew that Frank had a gun. Kevin Moore, Tupac's other bodyguard, they forced him to watch the cash register at 662 because they knew he had a gun. And these were wild cards to them. The guys that would have protected Tupac, guys that would have got out and shot back. Okay? Gaddafi witnessed the whole thing. Gaddafi was murdered, if you don't know. They killed him too. They assassinated him too. Not long after Tupac was killed, they killed him. They took him out. It's a whole other story in itself, but they got him. With the key witness. Frank Alexander too, the other key witness, is gone. For years they tried to tell us he committed suicide. Now it's coming to light that may not have been the case. Imagine that. All these men are all dead. As Tupac's real dad said Billy Garland that I want to see the footage. The feds were, he knows for a fact, he's seen the paperwork and all the files. The feds were tracking and following Tupac that night. To everywhere they went, to Shook's house before they hit the strip and the shooting happened, everything. So, as the story's always been told, it's been tried to be pushed, that P. Diddy wrote this check for $1 million and gave it to this guy named Von Zip, which was a known gangster in the streets and all this other stuff. And it was supposed to have been passed along for the hit on Tupac to go down. Well, Greg Kading made sure that the story was pushed. If you don't know who Greg Kading is a Fed. And he's the guy that came along and seemed to try to take control of the narrative of the whole Tupac thing this whole time. And to put out there what they want you to believe this whole time. In doing so, Reggie Wright Jr. got caught up on some drugs or some trouble. Something happened. And he should be in the pen right now. He should be in jail, but he wasn't. And when he didn't go and he started popping off all these videos with this Fed dude working with him, it raised a lot of eyebrows. Everything he was saying, he was throwing a lot of shade and anger at people that I felt there was no need to. And then when I looked into all these people like Frank Alexander and others that he was like throwing this anger to, it was people that were saying Reggie was the one behind it. That Reggie Wright Jr. and his right-way security and his team orchestrated the hit. So it was always said at this point, or assumed, that this came through this communication that was vital, that Michael Moore heard, was right after Tupac got shot on the strip. Someone came across the radio and said, "Got him." This is through Reggie Wright's security walkie-talkies that were being used that night that said, "Got him." And Michael Moore knew that they did it. Michael Moore knew that they did it. Guess what? Michael Moore's dead too. And they killed them all, boys. They killed them all. Same crew responsible for the hit on Biggie Smalls. Same crew. Reggie Wright and his people. He was behind the killings of all these people. And they got away with it because they're dirty cops, basically. And one of the last things Tupac said and warned Shook about was the fact that they had dirty cops, like former cops, working as the security. That they didn't think that was good. Pac didn't. And ultimately he was right, because those are the guys that set him up and got him killed in the end. And these are the patsies. As the feds watched and overseen this whole thing, and watched from a distance, they allowed Reggie Wright to orchestrate this whole thing and it go down. And because it was one of their ops, they let it go this far, this long. Okay? So, they've got on the table that they're going to pin this on P. Diddy. That he cut $1 million check. That's where they've had it. They were already going to hang him for this. Before he ever got taken down for all this Epstein-type stuff, they had him here. And it's going to come out. Something's going to come out here. They're going to put this on P. Diddy or somebody before they ever put it on a Fed. Okay? So the main story this whole time was that Orlando Anderson was a shooter. Keefe D said that he put the gun in his hand and he was the shooter. Now, Keefe D's changing his story. Saying that they can't even put him in Vegas. That he said it all for money. And that he was just going along with the script. The cops are feeding him. He would say he's spilling the beans. He's busting. And it's all coming out saying he wasn't a shooter and he wasn't even in there. That means that his story about saying Orlando was the shooter was a lie. The witnesses, the girls that witnessed the same thing, said that they saw a shooter come out the back, and even a dude was hanging out shotgun over the roof shooting a Tupac. Which the feds have all this footage. So, Suge Knight cleared the air and said, yeah, it wasn't Nokia's, it wasn't two-way Motorola's. He goes, what I had was like, it was like first of its kind, like a lot of people had never heard or seen of it at the time. But they were phones that worked on the West Coast. And they worked in like Southern Cali, in Vegas, all the way up into the Rocky Mountains. But they didn't work all the way across the country. But they were these phones that worked like that, and they worked on the West. He was just explaining this. Shook dropped this knowledge on Art of the Dialogue here within the past 48 hours from prison in an interview. He just aired it out, the whole thing. Then the talk about how Tupac was supposed to have been, he was set to have been recovered. They were making arrangements to put him in a triage to get him out of there and everything else. And all of a sudden, after Snoop Dogg apparently visited him, coming through a secure way with 4 police, which was odd, which they're saying was Kevin Gaines and corrupt Crip police officers. They were LA police officers that showed up in Vegas with Snoop, and they found that completely odd. And then they found out that Kevin Gaines and them admitted, yeah, they went there. Why? And it shows that they were all part of this orchestration. Snoop stopped the whole team. Snoop stopped Daz and Corrupt and this whole team from going to Vegas. And they're caught in different interviews saying this. I don't know if they were ever told to shut their mouths or not by Snoop, but guess what? They didn't. And they're talking. It's out there now. And you've even got Daz. Like, yeah, we were going to go to Vegas, but then Snoop called us up the last minute and says, you're not going, no one's going to Vegas. It's going down. Like, you ain't going. And threatened everybody. So, like, Snoop knew. Plus, Tupac hated Snoop when he died at that point. It's a fact, Jack. If you know anything about the relationship, anything about what was going on between them. Snoop's last words to Tupac was, you going to Vegas, cuz? Yeah. Because he knew what was going to happen. Because they got in a fight. Because this whole thing, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but they murdered Pac. They played it off like he faked his death so they could sell a bunch of records. And it was unnatural the way they did it. They even got to Afeni and like freaked her out. Like as soon as Tupac died, they burned his body quick. They did a quick autopsy. The autopsy photo is out there. They leaked it almost immediately. It's on Faces of Death and all this other stuff. You can see it. They cremated him like lightning speed. I thought for years Tupac was alive, man. I hoped that he was. I was 16 when it happened. It rocked me. Because I was that kid. I was him. I was 16 when this all happened. When he dropped All Eyes on Me and he's like 16. You know, Shorty Wanna Be, all this stuff. All the biggest hits Tupac ever. That was me. I was just get my license in my car. And that was what I was bumping. And it was Tupac that woke me up. How did Tupac wake me up? Because he dropped the Don Illuminati, Machiavelli, the last album. And the name of it, it told me it was killing the Illuminati. And I didn't know what the Illuminati was at that point. 16. Tupac told me and showed me. And when I went to typing and finding out and figuring out, when the rabbit hole opened up then, it's because of him. Because he planted that seed. Because he decided to name that album that, to kill this Illuminati. And that's why I've taken it on with the passion ever since against this beast, that slogan. Because it's represented the fire. The fight against this beast. It was Pac that sparked it in me. You see, I was young, and Machiavelli meant to fake your death and kill your enemies. Right? Thank you, Jason Voorhees. And I took it to heart as a kid because they were pushing all the music that he was alive, that he faked his death and all this. It was pushed hard, right? And when you're a young kid, you don't know any better. And I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe that there was a warrior that would do this, that would disappear, that was out there somewhere, and that he could come back with a huge army and defeat this beast. you know. But it wasn't true. You know, as I got a little older, things obviously became clear that it looks like they killed him. And that sucked. They have to swallow that because it hurt, you know, because I never had accepted that he died. You know, when someone dies, you mourn and you go through all that. I'd never done that. I always thought that he was on an island somewhere in Cuba because they left it. He clearly had a plan to do it. He had a plan to execute Machiavelli. Obviously, that's why he called it that. But they clipped him. They clipped him. They clipped him. They knew of the plan. They caught the wind. They clipped him. And they took advantage of it on the end. Took all the money, made all the millions. What Jimmy Iovine say the Suge Knight when Tupac died? Not rest in peace. Gonna miss him. Man, he was a great guy. He's like, you hit jackpot. Nothing sells like a dead man. And that right there tells you the whole crew that was in on it. This is the closest you're ever going to get to figuring out who did it. It's these boys. These circles. Always goes back to the same hand. Same hand took out Kennedy, took out Pac, took out Biggie, took out Lennon, took them all out. It's the same hand, man. The same hand. Same evil hand. Do you understand this now? The same one that pulls it all. When you try to rise up against this beast, they clip you. They take you out, just like that. Anyone that ever tries to mention or get up and expose their child trafficking, their human trafficking, and the realities of all this stuff, they clip you. You see? They'll attack you monetarily. They'll try to throw you in the prisons. If it ain't good enough, last but not least, they will kill you. Rest in peace to Machiavelli, Tupac's score. To Biggie Smalls that died is basically collateral damage. Mush. Thank you. This had to be played out as an East Coast, West Coast thing. That was their plan. That's how they wanted to throw it out there like that. That was the whole plan while they made all the riches off of it. And to even get it from Suge. Yeah, they made sure they got Suge where he's at now in prison. And they had full control. Even look who purchased. Look at who the feds and all them as a treat, as a gift, as a thank you for being a good little. Oh, you about made me cuss. A good little buster, Snoop. Let him. He owns death row. Suge sits there in jail. And so Suge was asked about the whole thing about. He said that Snoop was a liar. He was all this other crap, that he didn't go see Pac at the hospital and all this other stuff. But then it was brought up to other people that he could have came in with the cops and been the last one to see it. And then they told basically Tupac's mom that, look, his dad's gonna come and want this and that. If there's a body, he can. Whatever lie they told Afeni, she agreed to let them burn Tupac like almost instantly. Like almost instantly. Like this, it like never happens. As quickly as they did it. And Suge said he paid the guy $1 million. And he disappeared into the sunset. In that same video, he says that he also acts like Tupac's alive. Huge questions for Suge Knight that I would have. Like, why'd you ever do this or that? Why'd you ever play the card and act like he's alive and say it multiple times? That he's alive. That he's alive and play into the whole thing. Why? Why? Because all that did is make him look like he's all part of it. And some could say he is, and he was. Frank Alexander said he was, and that he is. That Suge Knight gets paid by one man, or one way and one way only. And it's not to know anyone else except for by the Baphomet. He said that. Frank Alexander said it. Skullbuster. Talk about why he got killed. You know, he exposed it. Shook get paid by the Baphomet. High satanic is what they all are. And that's how he got it. That's how he got down. That's most of the industry. To be honest with you. It's all ran by the high satanic hierarchy. Again, thank you, Mush. That's who got our guys, man. They were sacrificed. And thank you for the coffee again there, Isaac. I speak this because this is the closest thing I can do to bring justice to help these murdered souls. Is expose and shed light on who really did it. It's the closest that I can come to doing it. I wish I could do more. Yeah, you're right, Deanne. They will all answer to God one day on judgment, but if I was to bring down the gavel tonight on this, I just named all your suspects, all the criminals involved. They should all be pulled into a courtroom and tried by the people on this whole thing. And those involved should go to jail, you know. These guys shouldn't be able to ride into the sunset, Jimmy Iovines and all this stuff just because of these rich moguls. No. They were a part of this whole orchestration, all this stuff. They should answer. But I'm telling you, there's a fine line there between the upper echelons of the elite there and the people they'll sell out. They'll kill their own kind. They do it all the time. If you turn against the beast, they'll kill you, period. It doesn't matter. You can be a part of their 12 sacred family bloodline. Like the Kennedys, like JFK. It does not matter. They will kill you if you turn against them. So I salute everyone that turns against the beast. I ride for you. I roll for you. It's all for you. Because ultimately in the end, I feel that's how I will go. Someone, thank you for the coffees. I appreciate it to the fullest. Yeah, so getting over here, check these messages here real quick. Oh yeah. Before we close it down, let me end the poll. Almost forgot I did one. Alright, so we got some results in. With a little over 600 votes. Huh, surprising. More people said yeah than no. 52 to 47, fairly close. But I thought it would be overwhelming. But yeah. Okay, well, much love. Thank you as well to all the mods, eFids, everybody out there. Again, everybody that shares the stream. Everyone that joins me for these streams. I appreciate it more than you know. Everyone that supports the channel. Anyone that hits the super chat, the PayPal, coffees, or the crypto links down there. I know somebody, they asked me to drop them, so I did. I've got USDT and like XRP down there for anyone that wants to use them, but they've never been used. They're there though, if you need them. Options are there, and I appreciate it all. I'm going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 9 p.m. Eastern, the best I can. If I'm not live, because something crazy is going down, try to be live 3 times a week regardless. And that's the schedule for right now. Follow me on X for updates. Like I said, I'll try to be back here on Friday. Anything's going down between then, I'll drop a video here. Or updates over on X. Cannons, much love, my brother. Cannons and Spiro. You'll see them as my mods out there in the chat. Those two guys, old school, down-ass riders right there, man. Those are my Area 51 guys. Much love. Went to Area 51 with Cannons and Spiro. Got the footage on the channel if you look it up. My stuff's so censored though. Yeah, so yeah. Much love to everybody out there. I'm gonna shut it down for the night, take us out of here on some music. And God willing, if he doesn't return in the coming days, I'll see you here next time for some Underground World News Live. Right here. Much love. God bless. Man, legendary as it gets. I didn't see you in the chat tonight. When I looked over there, I didn't see you at all. As always, I thank you, my brother. Absolutely legendary. Much love, Vikings. Thank you, someone. Much love. God bless. I see you out there, Nemo. D. White. Dagger spells. Much love. God bless y'all.